next 2.5 years, though, he would owe you a little bit, pay back. Owe you a little bit more, and pay back a little, and so on until you're like way out here. At one point, it hit $27,000 in wages that he owed. And things were getting a little bit freakish. I learned way too late. In the meantime, here's the funny thing. We were working hard. We were having solar career showcases. We were bringing in more students. We tripled the income of the college in that 3-year span. So there was more money coming in, and we were getting less and less of it. The upshot of it was, like, there was one day I went in, hadn't been paid in probably 4 or 5 weeks, and I said, Phil, 3 of my automatic payments at the bank just bounced. They're $45 each. And I kid you not, he got up from behind the desk and opens his wallet. Here's $50. And I'm going, I need more than that. Well, you know, money is tight. You know, this whole thing, whole runaround. So I thought the end might be near. I soon learned that old Phil wasn't actually making payments on the 3 mortgages he had for the building. So things were headed for a bit of a crash. And they did. At one point, I had the opportunity to meet the fellow that was holding those mortgages. He was walking around the college one day and just kind of inspecting things. And we'd been hearing rumors from the other staff. There's somebody evil out there. They're trying to take over the college. Once I learned what the story was, I realized Phil's going to lose. So I was nice to this chap. When the eviction sheriff showed up, almost the end of April one year, along with a rather large police officer, that was the day of eviction. Everybody had to get out. But this nice gentleman who had the 3 mortgages on the place, he looked at me and he said, would you like to stay here and look after the building for me while we sell it? I'm thinking, I don't have anywhere else to go. Well, that sounds like a pretty good deal. So that's what I did. I stayed there. And things went along. Eventually, I was able to get other work. I moved out of there, and life went on to another phase. But here is what I realized, was my reverse MBA. I paid, or I lost, $27,000, and I learned how not to run a business. Essentially, anything Phil did, if you did the opposite, you'll succeed. It was like he was trying to crash things. It was really scary when you see something like that, just so obvious, things like that. But anyway, that's how that wrapped up. Shortly after that, I went up to work. I was working up north between Bracebridge and Huntsville. There I have a little place. And over that summer I was up there working, I was diagnosed with cancer. I thought I just had water in my ear. It sounded like, that thing. But it didn't go away. Short story was, yep, you've got cancer, and it's at the back of the airway, and it's sort of advanced. It's getting up there. And I started on a regimen of stuff. I used to work many years ago in a hospital. I was ambulance and emergency care technician. And having also worked in the hospital, I knew what waited for me with the radiation and the chemotherapy, and I was doing everything I could to avoid it. So I started with, let me just read the list because there was no way I could memorize it all. It's, my notes are stuck together, I think. There we are. Here was the stuff I started to take. MMS. Anybody hear of MMS? Modified Mineral Supplement. You can look it up on the internet. It's actually got some scientific grounding to it. It was able to hold off my cancer. It stopped the cancer from expanding. It didn't retract it. But for about a year, I was using this stuff. Apparently, it's not popular with we'll say, the big medical establishment because it only costs $50 a year. And for a lot of people who worked, it actually rolled back the cancer. But for a year, I was taking MMS. And I was also doing vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin B12, the whole alphabet, basically. I was taking chaga mushroom. I was taking zinc supplements, vitamin E drops, CBD oil, THC salve, turmeric supplements, bromelain, raw garlic, citrus, an Essiac-like mix somebody had that was really fascinating stuff. Apricot kernels, you know those things, they create a little bit of cyanide in your system, which helps to get rid of cancer, if you're doing it right. Chopped ginger root. I was drinking alkaline baking soda, saltwater rinses. I was doing hyperthermia sessions. I did 2 3-day hyperthermia sessions, where essentially you raise your core temperature up to about 101, 102 degrees, because a lot of cancer cells can't survive in that. And all this, I'm doing a lot of, I'm a certified hypnotherapist. That was another thing I took up about 20 years ago. So I'm doing a lot of auto-hypnotic sessions, visualizing, healing, all of that stuff. All while I'm going through 35 sessions of radiation, where they're going bzzz, 3 sweeps over your head, firing radiation through your neck, through your head, all that stuff. I had 6 chemotherapy treatments. They were going to give me more, but I was this close to death, and they stopped it. So that was nice. After all of this, after the sessions ended and things started to get a little bit better. You keep getting worse for a little while after radiation because it does so much damage, but you're coming out of it. And a buddy of mine who's a bit religious, he had heard that I was on the heel now. The doctors had said, I think we got the cancer, and I'm feeling happier. And my buddy hears about this. He says, I know why you're cured, he says. Oh, really? Why? I prayed for you a couple of times. Okay, sending thoughts and prayers is good too. But that was the kind of thing that can happen, these little lighter moments that help you feel better about everything that happened. Because there were days I didn't get out of bed. You are knocked so low by the radiation, you haven't got the energy and stuff like that. But things lighten up and things get better. I'm back to jogging again, I'm running, I'm doing exercise and things like that. So I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, thank you. The last little thing I would like to address is the time travel thing. We're all doing the time travel. We're all doing it together. We're all headed in more or less the same direction in time at about the same speed. But every once in a while, have you ever had something happen to you? You've done something really dumb, maybe really stupid, something that you regret, and you're going, oh, I wish I could go back to yesterday and change this, not do it, or set things up so this wouldn't happen. Anybody ever have that happen? It struck me a couple of times while I was going through all this other stuff. You know what? Today, here was a really cool concept. You've probably thought of this yourself, but today is tomorrow's yesterday. And how many times, recently have I thought, you know what? Let's do a visualization here. Pretend, let's say somebody in this room tomorrow is going to do something really silly. Maybe you're down there, you're driving and you're texting, and you're glancing up and then bang! Oh, you hit another car. And now you're sitting there going, oh, if only I could go back in time. Okay, you just did. Here we are in tomorrow's yesterday. Make sure you don't do the dumb thing, whatever it is, texting or being silly with somebody, delivering that insult that maybe shouldn't have happened. There are so many things that if we just think, what are the long-term consequences of what I'm doing right now if something goes wrong? And I'm kind of living under the assumption that at some point I'm going to go to the doctor one day in the future, he's going to say the cancer's back, at which point I'm going to go, okay. I'm living today, though, in a way that I'm hoping will offset that option for me. And hopefully, maybe that can work for you too. I don't know. But that's all I have to say for the moment. And I hope there was something interesting here for you.